Hey there guys, this is Cole. Welcome back to another movie review. Today's movie I'm going to be reviewing is the 1980 creature feature movie Alligator, which I just watched this today for the very first time. Now, this is a movie that, it's one of those cult classic movies that I have heard good things about this movie before, and I will admit I did see little bits and pieces of this movie here and there, but until today, I had not seen the full movie through its entirety, and I gotta say, I really like this movie, and another thing I really like about this movie has a really good plot. So, for those who haven't seen or heard of this movie, what is the plot to the 1980 movie Alligator? So, the plot of the movie is as follows. A baby alligator is flushed down a Chicago toilet and survives by eating discarded laboratory rats infected with growth hormones. So that's basically the plot synopsis to the movie, and this is more of like a creature feature thriller movie, kind of more so along the lines of Jaws and stuff like that, which this movie is no Jaws, but I still thought that this was a really good movie. And another thing that I really like about this movie's got a great cast and great characters to it. You got Robert Forster as our lead character, David Mason. And Robert Forster, for those who don't know, he actually played the bad guy in the 1986 Chuck Norris action movie, The Delta Force, which I really like that movie. The Delta Force is one of my favorite action movies of the 80s. I would like to cover that someday down the road, and that's one of Chuck Norris's best movies. So it's nice to see that actor as our lead here. You also got some other good actors like Michael V. Gazzo as Chief Clark. You got Robin Riker as Marissa Kendall, and Leslie Brown as young Marissa. So this movie overall has a really good cast. So without further ado, let's get into my review. So the movie starts off where we are introduced to a young character by the name of Marissa, who is a teenager, and she is basically on these bleachers with her mother, and a whole bunch of people are watching this guy basically trying to run around an alligator, but it goes horribly wrong, and an alligator bites part of his foot off, and then a bunch of the people running the operation, a few people, they have to run up and save the guy, and, they basically get the guy whose foot is being chewed on by the alligator, and then they carry him away out of the scene, and the mother thinks that it's fake, but young Marissa's like, no, it's not fake, it's real. And then eventually everyone realizes it and they panic, but, they're able to get the guy who was being, attacked by the alligator out of there. And then not long after that, the character Marissa, we're introduced to her mother and her father, and I take that back. We are introduced to we're introduced to these two parents of a daughter who basically have and so these parents, they have a daughter, and this daughter has a little baby pet alligator, and it's not a very big alligator. Like, the baby alligator, it's about the size of my hand, so that is very small for an alligator, but the father basically is upset with it, and the father says, I am going to flush it down the toilet. So the father does that. But then, as you can guess, because this is a creature feature movie, not necessarily the brightest idea. And then, after that, the movie then cuts to 12 years later, where we are introduced to our main character, David Madison, who is our lead character in the movie. And our main character, David Madison, he is a police detective played by Robert Forster, who I really like as an actor, who, again, he played the bad guy in the Chuck Norris movie, The Delta Force, which is an action movie from the 80s that I really like. And throughout the course of the movie, people go missing in Chicago. This police officer has to investigate these disappearances and these unsolved murders. Like, for instance, early on in the movie, basically not even a person, but a person goes missing, but the only remains of this person found are like a severed human toe, and the other police officers tell the main character, David Madison, our lead character, they basically tell him that that was the only remain of it found and stuff like that. And then early on in the movie, some people are asking questions like, do you think there could be a Jack the Ripper type of killer out there? And the police officers, who are asking the press this questions are like, it's hard to say, it's a little too early. And so the police chief in this movie, I thought was really good. A police chief by the name of Chief Clark, who is basically the police chief who is in charge of the main character, David Madison. And I thought that the actor, Michael V. Gazzo, was really good in this movie. Now, I know I've seen this actor in a few movies before. I can't quite pinpoint them, but I thought he was a really good police chief in the movie. And this movie's not afraid to get dark. Like, not long after that, basically, there is a guy who basically decides to dump his laundry inside the sewer, but he sees that the laundry did not land in the sewer water like he wanted, so he decides to climb down the ladder, puts it in the water, and then, what do you know, an alligator attacks the guy and, kills him. And throughout the course of the movie, and another thing I really like about this movie, not only does this movie have a good cast, it also has good characters too. Like, I really like the main character, David Madison, played by Robert Forster. I thought he was really good in the movie. And there's a part where maybe like the 30 or so minute mark of the movie, maybe a little bit after, his best friend is killed, So David Madison is in the sewer with his best friend, and his best friend and him basically climb up a ladder because they see an alligator coming, but the alligator gets David's partner, and David's partner dies, and this was like David's best friend, and you really felt bad for David because he lost his best friend. And then later in the movie, we meet up with Marissa, who, like I said, was the young girl at the beginning of the movie, only now she's an adult in like her early 20s or her mid 20s, somewhere around there, where she's a police officer now. And she basically says to David, I feel sorry for what happened to your partner and stuff like that. And one thing I really like about this movie, I really think the practical effects are really good in this movie. Like, this movie is only an hour, 30 minutes, but this movie, it cuts by at a good pace. And my favorite scene in the movie by far is when about halfway through the movie, there are these kids who are about to they're outside playing. They're about to throw a baseball at the other kid, but then this kid starts to notice the ground, basically the sidewalk start to shake below him by his sewer lid, and he is like, what's going on? And then the kids back up when they realize something bad's about to happen, and then the alligator bursts out the sewer, and then it basically, the alligator breaks the ground open, basically, and it comes out and it rampages. And this is a huge alligator because of the fact that the alligator was eating discarded laboratory rats that were injected with growth hormones. It's made this grow unnaturally large. Like, this alligator is like 30 to 40 feet long. It is massive. And I really like the scene when later on in the movie where there's police officers, trying to chase this thing down and with a boat, but then the boat accidentally crashes into land and explodes. And again, this movie's not afraid to get dark. About an hour, close to an hour into the movie, there are these 3 kids at a kid's birthday party, and these 2 kids tried to push this mother's kid down, as a joke in a normal little swimming pool. But little do the kids know that there's an alligator in there. And the alligator, we don't see it on screen, but it is rather effective. The alligator kills the kid, but we do see the blood out the water. And then the kids are running away screaming when they notice that there's blood in the water. So this movie definitely is dark for a creature thriller movie. And then now this is the big finale of the movie, where there is about 12 minutes left of the movie where where the alligator shows up at a wedding, this 40-foot alligator, and it's destroying cars, it's wrecking havoc at the wedding and stuff like that, and crunching on people it comes across. And then our main character, David Madison, at the end of the movie, he decides to go in a sewer and plant a bomb. That way, but a bomb with a timer. That way, once he gets out, it'll explode and kill the alligator. And it's going great until he's on top, he's by the sewer lid that he went through, and then a lady's car is on top of it, and he's trying to get it off, and then, and David's partner, Marissa, tells the woman, you need to move the car, so she moves the car for the woman, and then David Madison gets out of the way just in time, and then the sewer explodes, and we see the alligator's body explode with, we see its body explode open, and then some fire coming out of the sewer lid. And so the main characters survive. And then the movie ends with a sequel bait ending of a small alligator in the sewer. So yeah. Now, I've not yet seen the sequel, but I did really enjoy this first movie, and I would recommend it. It is free on Prime Video right now. I'm going to give Alligator a 9 out of 10. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching my review, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye-bye.